In the latest exclusive revelation from our post office tapes, ITV News has heard the warning from nearly a decade ago of a wrongful conviction. The executive, Angela Van Den Bogerd, was told the company had materially misled the courts and allowed an innocent man to go to jail. It was not for another 6 years until the sub-postmaster in question was cleared. Well, this from our investigations editor, Daniel Hewitts.
Ms Van Den Bogerd.
In the ITV drama that shocked the nation, Angela Van Den Bogerd plays a pivotal role.
I suggest you are hesitant to accept anything that is damaging to Post Office.
That is not the case.
As the senior executive who, despite damning evidence, defended the Post Office and its Horizon IT system to the very end. She says she doesn't recognise how she's depicted in these scenes, but we don't need a drama to know what she really said. We've obtained a recording of a meeting from January 2015 between Mrs Van Den Bogerd and the independent investigator tasked with looking into issues with Horizon, following the convictions of hundreds of sub-postmasters. In it, she raises a case from 2006.
Carl Page, should we have a quick discussion on this?
I know the whole case intimately. I've studied it in minute detail. I think that Post Office got this wrong right up front. I think there was no theft of $282,000.
Father of three, Carl Page, served 6 months in prison, convicted of stealing money through currency exchange at his post office in Staffordshire. The first trial collapsed. He pleaded not guilty at the second, but was eventually convinced to plead guilty for fear of a long prison sentence. Carl has never spoken about what happened to him, but he's given us permission to tell his story.
I began noticing shortfalls in the balancing and initially just thought this was due to silly mistakes I was making. I identified the need for additional training due to these shortfalls and had requested this from my area manager, but this fell on deaf ears. Prison itself was such a humiliating experience. I felt absolutely worthless.
He's always maintained his innocence, and in January 2015 the Post Office is told they've got this wrong.
How do you arrive at that conclusion?
Yes, well, here's my problem. I strongly suspect Horizon was maintaining a local currency equivalent of the foreign currency balances meant to be held, and by reason of doing that, it had basically come to the conclusion that there was more currency left in that branch than there really was. The key issue is that I do not see any evidence in any of the trials that any money at all was stolen.
In terms of taking this forward then, Ron, I think as we've done in other cases, then I think we've got material evidence that we've got further information that's material to this case. I think we need to take another look at this on Post Office. I
think you do, and I think all 3 trials were materially misled by Post Office in the witness statements.
Later, she even questions the rationale behind the conviction.
As I say, I think we need to revisit. And he's gone to a lot of effort for very little gain, supposedly. And
yes.
That's what I find very remarkable.
Ron Warmington says he can't comment on the recording as he's a core participant in the inquiry. If the Post Office did take another look at Carl's case, it didn't look very hard. His conviction was not overturned for another 6 years. But Mrs Van Den Bogerd did have opportunities to raise these issues. Less than 4 weeks after that 2015 meeting, she gave evidence to MPs alongside then Post Office boss Paula Vennells.
If there had been any miscarriages of justice, so far we've had no evidence of that.
They both denied even the suggestion of wrongdoing.
It's not that there's a culture of denial here. I've personally been involved in each of those 150 cases and got to the detail.
Today, we asked her why she didn't raise it.
Hi. Hello, Mrs Van Den Bogerd, it's ITV News. We'd like to ask you about Carl Page, please.
Sorry, I've already made a statement. She has my response. And I won't be making anything further, thank you.
Why didn't you...
I'm sorry, I won't be making any further comment outside the inquiry. So can you now please leave my property?
You've been warned, didn't you?
Excuse me.
You were warned that he'd been wrongfully imprisoned.
Come on, Betsy, come. I'm not answering any questions I've said.
Did you lie to MPs?
I'm not answering any questions. Can you please leave my property?
OK.
Were materially misled.
Rabina was a sub-postmaster in Shropshire. She met Angela Van Den Bogerd to discuss her case in 2015. The Post Office had wrongly sent her to prison in 2010 for false accounting. She lost her home and had to live in a van when she was released.
If she knew then about the postmasters wrongly being accused. She should have done something about it. Day in, day out, there's something new that they knew that they could have changed our lives.
But the final word must go to Carl, a life that could have been so different.
Things were getting on top of me and my debts were building up. This ended in a suicide attempt in January 2014 and I was admitted to a mental health hospital for 3 weeks. I do not mix with people these days. I've lost all my friends. I will never be able to get the time back I've missed with my children or rebuild the relationships I've lost. My dad passed away before my conviction was quashed and I feel he died not knowing the truth.
So many lives destroyed, and for what? Daniel Hewitt, ITV News.